Hey there, welcome back to the Kellner Chronicles, episode 30. Philippines retirement budget, several facts, some truths. Okay, today we're going to be looking at your retirement budget in the Philippines. We've seen a lot of videos done on this, and especially recently, with the COVID lockdown and everything, people have been thinking about retirement more and more and having an easier life. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take all that information that all these vloggers have given, and we're going to make our own view of it, or at least my own view. Okay, what I have to say next isn't a knock on any other vlogger. What it is I'm just trying to extrapolate all the information after some research, put it together, and try to create the truths and the realities of if you decide to retire. So, without further ado, if you bear with me and you're back in a minute, we'll get straight into it. See you in a mo. Okay, welcome back. I'm glad you stayed. First of all, before we start, please like, share, and subscribe. Every time you like a video, every time you subscribe to the channel, we're going to have a situation where the YouTube algorithm will help my channel grow. And that's what we want to do, because we want to reach as many people as we can with good information. Okay, let's get into it. Retirement in the Philippines and the budget you're going to need. It's important to take into consideration everything that other vloggers have said, even the so-called e-beggars, the ones I dislike. Most of the good expat bloggers are on the money with a lot of things that they say. However, this pertains to them, and that's where the problem begins. Understand the logic behind what I'm going to tell you next. As I say, I am not knocking these vloggers because I think they've given out very good information. Only thing is, it's information that's based where they are. What we need to look at is information based where you want to be. So let's take this, let's break it down, and let's look at what there is. First of all, we're going to hypothesize that you have a budget of $1,500. Depending on where you go in the Philippines, and that is what is the problem here, right? Even with a budget of $1,500, which would be approximately about £1,100 US, 1,200 euros or 300 euros, etc., etc., you're going to see differences everywhere you go. Now, take into consideration that this vlogger and this vlogger and that vlogger and that vlogger have all said different things. Some are saying you can live on $300, $250, £220. Some are saying you could live on $1,000, which is about £800, £750, £800. And some are saying you have to have $3,000, which is approximately £2,200, give or take. I don't know what the exchange rate is, but that's an approximate. Now, how can it be to such extremes? Some are saying 300, some are saying 800, some are saying 1,000, and some are saying 1,500, and some are saying 3,000. There's a massive range there. No vlogger has taken into consideration what part of the Philippines you live in. Yes, is that important? Yes. One vlogger specifically says he pays in one part of the country $400, approximately £300, give or take, rent per month. One is saying that he pays $175, which is about £120 per month. Some are saying that they pay $500, and obviously in other more important places, they're paying $1,000 to $2,000 per month. So we need to take into consideration what it is you want, not what they want, not what they're doing. Though they're giving out great information that are trying to help you, They're giving information from their point of view. It's not a bad thing, but it depends on where you want to go. So here's some truths before, or should I say, the facts. Here are the facts. If you go to the Philippines on a recce, a reconnaissance, and you're looking around the place and you see that, this city, I would pay so much rent, and then you go to another city, I would pay so much rent, and I go to another city and I would pay so much rent, you can then extrapolate where you want to be in your preferred city. You would then know more or less how much rent you would need on your $1,500 budget. You go to one city or one town, it might be as little as $150 per calendar month, depending on the type of property. Or you could go to one of the bigger cities and pay $500 a month, which is approximately £350 to £400. Both prices are reasonable depending on where you go. Now, that's just one part. So take into consideration and try to combine logic there, because right now, if you decide to go to one of the bigger cities, one of the more modern cities like Manila or Cebu or Bacolod, you are going to be paying quite a high rent. However, if you go to places in, say, Negros Occidental or Negros Oriental, smaller towns, smaller cities, you could be paying much less. Why? Because you might get the same sort of property in a cheaper area. And that's the point I'm trying to make. Now, these vloggers haven't given you bad information, they just haven't given you it all. And that's what I'm trying to do here. If you take for an example, your electric bill, approximately, depending on where you are in the Philippines, different electrical companies, you could pay $50 a month, $30 a month, or over $100 a month. That is fact. Do you want to pay that? I'm sure you don't. You want to keep your budget as low as possible. So you may have to be a bit more cautious where you go. You may have to be a bit more, sacrificial about where you go. Okay? Small towns can be just as nice as big cities, but you may have less luxuries and less necessities there. But that's where transportation comes in. And you can always go to a bigger city, which is near your town, and buy the luxuries you want. There's always that. Water. Water in the Philippines is not expensive. Okay, you're looking at between 200 and 500 pesos a month, which is nothing really. You're looking at between $10 and $15 a month, or perhaps in pounds about £8 to £10. Okay, that's pounds sterling. If you take that and you match it up with what you've got, then your bills are coming down. Your food, depending on how picky you are, some Westerns, we can be very picky and we will only want to eat Western food. Western food is imported into the country, and that importation has a problem where there is going to be duty on it, there is going to be a premium on it. So expect to pay more for this food. Okay? If you're not so discerning and you don't really mind too much, then you can basically do a good shop in the supermarket and get most of your produce or vegetables or fruits in the market and save a bunch of money as well. So there's your food. Okay? Your transport. You can buy a cheap little moped scooter, 125cc or 155cc. They're, you're looking at maybe $1,200, $1,300, £1,000 for a basic one to get you about. So you can cut out all the little tricycles and all the little taxis and stuff like that. Remember, this is all dependent on where you want to be. If you go to one of these smaller towns, you are going to benefit, okay? Your internet is going to be the same all over the Philippines. Some areas are better, some areas are worse. The internet in the Philippines has a great reputation of being absolute crap. You pay a high price for poor service. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. And until they get their stuff together, it's going to be like that. Now, I know President Duterte has put threats down onto these major companies who are making a mint in money off the Filipinos and expats. And I mean a mint of money. It's like they've got a license to print their own. Duterte is trying to stop that, and he's trying to get better internet quality there in the Philippines, which is cool. So that might all change. People talk about in 10 years' time, this, that, the other, prices are going up. Yes, prices are always going up there, as well as they're going up here, or in the States, or in Europe. So we need to look at that. That we cannot avoid. It's going to happen. So you need to preempt that. And you need to have a redundancy for it. The same way that you have a $1,500 budget for that month, you need what I like to call your Monopoly style get out of jail free card. Okay? Hate any copyright on the Monopoly, but fact is fact, you need a get out of jail free card. What do I mean by get out of jail free card? Very simple. You've got your monthly budget. If that's the only monthly you've got, whether it's Social Security from the States, pension from the UK, or from any of the European or Australasian areas, you're going to have a problem. Unless you can save some of that money into a separate fund which you don't touch, you've got a problem. What I mean to say is, and just as advice, after you've done your recce's and now you've got your plan ready, you want to go to the Philippines, your biggest problem is going to be backup money. Why do I need backup money? I've got this much coming in per month. I'll explain. With backup money, you have your get out of jail free card. So if all goes to shit, sorry for the term, but if all goes tits up, pear-shaped, or whatever you want to call it, you have a chance to get out and get back to safety. I would suggest, if you're American, at least a $15,000 fallback. If you're British, an $11,000 to £12,000 fallback, and more or less the same in euros. Okay, you can do the math. Why? Because things happen. And as they say, shit happens. What shit can happen? What are you talking about? Very simple. You could meet a young lady, if you're not going with a partner. You could meet a young lady on retirement that you want to know and all this, and everything goes great. And she manages to convince you to buy her land or to build a house for her. It'll all be in her own name. And then all of a sudden, one day she just kicks you out without a pot to piss in. And she puts in her Filipino boyfriend who's much younger than you. She's got your property, she's got your money, and everything's gone in with it. You try to take legal action against her, you will lose. You're the foreigner. You don't have a leg to stand on. So that's the first thing you've got to look at. Don't buy land or property or build a house for your girlfriend. Don't do it. I wouldn't. In my case, it's different because I'm married. Therefore, I'm legally slightly more protected. Okay? And that's been made clear to me by a lawyer anyway, so I am slightly more protected. And unless you 100% trust the girl, and she is 100% trustworthy, you're going to be on the failing side of that issue. So, you, instead of buying land or instead of building a house, you finally decide you want to rent. You can go anywhere in the Philippines and shop around. Okay? You can shop around. And this is where the problem that I see from other vloggers have made. They haven't given you all the numbers. I cannot give you all the numbers because I'm not there to go and ask. But I can tell you from the numbers the other vloggers have given, I've been able to extrapolate that obviously in smaller towns, obvious rule, it's going to be cheaper. So long as you don't have someone trying to rip you off, right? So you can work with your budget. So your budget, let's say, is $1,500, right? $300, let's say, for rent. Okay? Say $60 to $70 for water and electricity. That's $360, $370. All right? And then you move on to things like transport. You're paying a moped. You bought one, but you didn't pay cash. You took it on hire purchase for whatever reason. And you're paying, say, 3,000 pesos a month, which is another $50. The numbers are going up, but not by great leaps, right? Then there's food. If you want all Western food, your numbers are going to go up. That might be $400 to $500 a month on that alone, maybe more. So already you're nearing the 1,000 mark, if not already over it. Then you want your fun and your entertainment. You might want to go out. Maybe you're a drinker. Maybe you're a smoker. Maybe, you know, all these numbers do add up. However, taking that into consideration, you can always live a little bit more frugally. I'm not saying live like a pauper. You don't have to. You can live very, very well in the Philippines by just changing where you shop. If you're going to shop at the major supermarkets, you're going to find that prices are going to eat into your budget. However, if you get the necessities from the supermarket and your produce and meats outside of the supermarket, you might be better off. Okay? You might be better off indeed. Now, you'll get a lot of vloggers saying, oh, don't eat the meat from the market. I've been eating the meat from the market for the last 11 years, and it's very well prepared. There's no problem with it. I have had no issues. I have had no bad stomachs, nothing. And I've got a very tricky stomach. So, putting all that together, you can live in the Philippines on a reasonable budget. Now we come to the other side of the coin. Expensive alley. If you're going to live in places like Manila, Makati, BGC, McKinley, those are areas in the Philippines which are super expensive. In BGC alone, you could be spending $1,500 a month on a rental of a studio apartment. Yes, that much. McKinley's the same, and so is Makati. And if you move out to the poorer areas of Manila and the outskirts, you could even screw yourself up. Quezon City is not much better. There are some cheaper areas, but once again, that's not the score. Most expats go to the provinces. They meet a girl from the province because they want a provincial girl, someone who's going to look after them, someone who's going to care for them. The usual story. I'm not going to judge you for that. That's what you want to do. That's cool with me. But, one, you got to be careful with the girl because they may play dumb. A lot of them are not. So get yourself a good one. You've got time. Be picky. Choose wisely. Right? And that's no knock on the Filipino girls. It's understandable why they do what they do. We just got to accept that. What I'm saying is, I'm not knocking them, but I am warning you. Excuse me, coffee. Taking into consideration everything I've said up to now, what is it you want? What is it you need? What are your plans? Have you got residual income that will come in? Do you have backup? Do you have a fallout or get out of jail free plan? Are you getting some sort of health insurance that you can use abroad? Big facts, very important, and a major bunch of truths. Especially the health insurance. As I've mentioned in other videos, and a lot of people have mentioned, it can be quite expensive for medical treatment in the Philippines. Right? For those Brits, Canadians, possibly Australians, which we're used to free healthcare, it's going to come as a kick in the proverbials. If you go to hospital and you have to have a procedure done, you're going to think that your proverbials are lodged in your nostrils after that kick. So, as I say, take into consideration that if you do go abroad and you're going to retire, find a decent health insurance provider that will cover you whilst you're abroad for travel health insurance. And keep it renewed every single year. Don't let it lapse. You may think it's throwing good money out of the window. No, it's not. Trust me, I've seen it. It is scary. The bills can be astronomical. And if you don't pay, I can assure you, the horror stories I've heard of people dying, foreigners dying in the Philippines because they weren't given treatments for a simple thing which could have been prevented because they didn't have money to pay. People may say I'm wrong. I'll call them out on it. Now, going back to purchasing land and housing for your girlfriend, if you have a retirement budget of $1,500, why would you spend that kind of money? What? Because it's going to save you rent in the long run? I'd rather pay the rent. Yes, my wife and I own properties over there. We've got land there. But remember, my wife, we're married. So the law is slightly more protective of us. I don't have full rights as a Filipino, but I do have some. Not many, but some. If you marry a Filipina girl there, yes, go ahead, by all means, buy land, buy house. And if people say, oh, don't do it, don't do it. Because even if you're married, no, they can't. I've checked. Okay? As you're married legally, that marriage contract is legal and binding. It's 50-50 by Filipino law, whether you're a foreigner or not. Some will argue with me. All I'll say is, where's your evidence? Okay, putting the rough stuff aside. You want to have a good time. If you're the type of guy that is going to go out expecting nights of golden fun and party, I'm afraid to tell you, your budget will not last long. You could end up on the streets. I have seen foreigners on the streets. There have been many accounts of foreigners on the streets. They've got broke, and all their so-called Filipino friends and foreigner friends and expat friends left them there in the street when their money ran out. Don't end up there. Be wise. This is a time where if you've budgeted in America and you've budgeted in Europe and the UK, now it's time to think of your budget for your future. Don't have, how can I put it? Don't end up in dark water just because you wanted to party. I would suggest you put some money aside for partying, but not a great amount. And try to restrict your partying to once or twice a month. Oh, why should I only do that? Because you'll be broke. And that's the whole point of this video. I'm trying to help you not end up in a bucket full of crap. Okay? I've taken all the good information that the good vloggers have used, and I'm trying to use it in this video to give you a better view of what you can do. You can always budget. Do your numbers. It's important. You're going to have time there. You're going to be retired. So unless you've got a very busy social life, sit down, pen and paper, laptop, computer, mobile phone, cellular phone, whatever you want to call it, and do your numbers. Prepare a month in advance. Make sure that your backup money is continuously fed bits and pieces of leftover money. So if by the end of the month you've got $50 left of your budget, don't let it lapse, don't spend it, let it fall in to your get out of jail free money. That would be the logical thing to do. Okay? Now, the whole point is that you are safe. You have got enough money and you can retire happily. You can do that in the Philippines, but you're going to have to be picky. You're going to have to be choosy where you stay. If you want to stay in Makati, unless you're rich, don't do it. You're going to stay in BGC. Once again, unless you're rich, don't do it. The same for McKinley, Quezon City, and a bunch of other places. Shop around. Make a few recce's to the Philippines. If you're not due for retirement for another 2 or 3 years, then make several trips. Find a place that you're most comfortable with. Ask around about rents. Usually the landlords there are pretty good because they know that foreigners, when they pay their rent, will be a continuous flow of money to them. Whilst if they rent it out to a Filipino, the chances are they may default on a payment, whilst they know that the Westerners won't. So you might be able to get decent deals if you ask, especially if you pay like 6 months in advance or a year in advance. You can shop around. Okay, guys, that's enough of me browbeating you about your budget. If you want to know more, and I can find out more for you, drop a message in the comments. If there's something I missed, let me know. I'll see if I can dig it out. If you didn't like the video, please give it a thumbs down. But if you think I'm going somewhere with this, give it a thumbs up. It'll help the channel, right? It'll provoke them to do something with me and not just let me fall down. Help me grow my channel and I'll keep pumping you with good information. And once again, like I said, and I've said many times in this video, I admire what other YouTubers are trying to do, except for the e-beggars. They're trying to help you settle in a new country for your retirement. But remember, don't take their information as seen because it's a one-sided view. Take many and combine them, okay? Get that information, get it where you need it, okay? And make sure that you're safe. So your retirement is as good as you want it to be, if not better. You'll be a happy man or woman, whichever. Okay, guys, thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. And like I say, please like, share, and subscribe. I'm sorry this video was a bit long, but it was important that I got across to you that information that you needed to know. Okay? If I can do any more for you, let me know. Thanks once again. And from me, Perry at the Kellner Chronicles, I'm out of here. Bye-bye.